Recently, controversy has once more erupted on social media over the use and meaning of the phrase autism mum and its derivatives autism dad and autism parent. Some in the autistic community have been critical of those who use the term, and some of those receiving the criticism have felt unduly attacked. Why is there a controversy at all? Some talk of identity, suggesting that parents defining themselves using their child's autism is unacceptable. The parents, meanwhile, ask how else they are to quickly tell people that they are a parent looking for advice about their autistic child. Whilst most of us would agree that it's unfair to attack or criticise someone based on a phrase they use to describe themselves alone, it's worth taking a look at why those criticising may be sensitive in the first place. Autism awareness, let alone acceptance, has a long way to go before we autistic advocates can rest on our laurels. Progress is being made, but the pace of change is rarely as fast nor as significant as we would like. As more autistic people join the debate and participate in the medical and research side, academic understanding of our lives gradually improves and permeates into the public consciousness. There is still much misinformation, though. And even some medical professionals still cling to damaging and inaccurate ideas about what autism means for an individual and their future. Such preconceptions can have a profound effect on both the parent and child when first diagnosed. There is far more harmful material out there than up-to-date and accurate, and much of it paints a bleak picture of autistic life that is years behind current understanding. Most parents can't help feeling disappointed. They had such high hopes for their child, for their relationship, their future, and more. The story they're told is one which can dash their hopes in one fell swoop. The feeling that a huge chunk of their expectations have been obliterated is very real. The emotional effect that has on the child can sometimes shape their future more than autism itself. We can feel rejected or second-rate. No matter how many articles you read about empathy deficits in autism, we know our parents are disappointed and it hurts. We may find they don't encourage us the way they did before, and are now far more motivated to push us in directions we don't feel comfortable with. They take issue with the way we play, communicate or learn, things they didn't see as problems before. We may even feel they have lost interest altogether. This also happens to some of us as adults. Many diagnosed in their 20s, 30s and 40s have had difficulties in their relationships with their parents after talking about their diagnosis. Reactions range from disbelief and denial through to being cut off from the family or a withdrawal of trust. Tales of parents taking it in their stride are sadly not related as often. Personal experiences like this make some of us very wary of people describing themselves as autism parents, even when they're asking for help. It arouses fears that stem from our own bad experiences and can lead to some people being overcautious. There's more to it though. There is a very specific variety of parent that can be damaging not only to their autistic child, but also to the immense efforts the community goes to improve public understanding and interaction with all autistic people, regardless of their independence or their needs for support. These parents exploit their child's diagnosis for sympathy, notoriety, or even profit. They write ongoing blogs or entire books about their child's meltdowns, their difficulties in everyday tasks, their toileting, and as they grow older, their sexual development. They are the ones who film hours of video of their kids screaming in distress, which they have sometimes provoked, then look to the camera saying, "Look what I have to deal with." They sometimes post their children's names or photos and videos of their home and community that make them easily identifiable. There are parents who blame their child's autism on vaccines, on pollution or diet, on mysterious parasites, anything but the genes they passed on to them. Or they advocate highly restrictive diets, industrial bleach, and other dangerous or worthless treatments to eradicate whatever toxin they blame for their tragedy. They sometimes call themselves autism warriors and tell tales of how their normal child suddenly changed for the worse at age 2 or 3, repeating tired fables of watching the light drain from their eyes. This group is also sometimes found in vicious exchanges with autistic adults, whom they claim are faking their autism, or at the very least are insensitive to the terrible plight of their lives. Both sides in such debates can be equally hostile, bitter and intense. This type of parent is unwilling to accept the perspective of autistic adults, or that autism is anything other than a foul scourge which needs to be eradicated at all costs. Their perpetual denial presents a genuine risk to the future of autistic people all over the world, regardless of how much or how little support we may need. And a surprising number of parents buy into their disgraceful, self-promoting practices. When a new parent of an autistic child comes online to ask for help, bad personal memories and knowledge of the despicable activities of martyr parents like those described may well be at the front of some autistic people's minds. Rather than being as open and as objective as they'd like to think they are, their judgment of the intent of the unknown parent may be tainted by such factors, and it might colour their response. The poor availability of good, formally recognised information about autism from the inside, and the unwillingness of the establishment to engage with autistic adults, means that when they first look for help, many parents have been primed with countless facts that many of us know to be harmful. They are prepped for difficulties in future relationships, education and job prospects, or even basic living skills. The medical establishment and some of the charities supposedly for autistic people do a surprisingly good job of scaring parents from the outset. They are sometimes actively pushed into corrective therapies or medications that many of us were subjected to as children and suffered irreparable damage from. They rely on this information because it comes from people we are all conditioned to trust. Doctors, educators, specialist charities, and many, many more. Very few autism parents will come to the table with an enlightened understanding of the range and variety within the autistic spectrum, or have an inkling of the possibility they could have been misled. They've been terrified by worst-case scenarios and they're looking for hope. They want help and direction to maybe, just maybe, avoid all those pitfalls they've been warned about. When an autistic with open wounds from their own past and awareness of autism martyrs meets a parent who has been pumped full of scary misinformation, it is an explosive combination. Sparks are almost guaranteed to fly. The emotionally vulnerable autist sees the parent spouting inaccurate and even dangerous information and flies off the handle. The parent reacts angrily and defensively to what looks like a random person on the internet claiming to know more than the doctors. Accusations fly, language drops to gutter level, threats are sometimes made, and the damage is done. Often damage that can never be repaired. All the horror stories the parents have been told about autistic people having raging meltdowns, lacking empathy, being inflexible and seeing everything in black and white terms have just been confirmed. They had hoped to come away with clarity and optimism for the future, but their hopes have been crushed and their fears made real. They may surrender to what they now believe to be the truth. Their child's life will be a disappointing struggle. Even worse, they may find their hope in the martyrs of the internet and begin to cling to false hopes like damaging therapies, bleach enemas, or searching their kid's stool for mythical parasites. That one encounter with an angry, emotionally raw autistic adult may have not only smashed their hopes on the rocks, it may have condemned their child to the very life we wanted to save them from, blocked the opportunities we hoped they would receive, and strengthened the hand of charlatans who exploit and abuse autistic lives for personal gain. How can this be avoided? Changes in terminology to distinguish parents' outlook have been suggested, but a new parent on the scene will be as unlikely to know whatever new term we come up with as they are any of the other idiosyncrasies of our online culture. This is one area of the autistic debate where the onus lies largely on our shoulders as autistic adults to put right. Let's be clear. There's good reason why some of us have very negative preconceptions and why we can be sensitive to the slightest suggestion that the parent may not have their child's best interests at heart. Nobody should have to ignore their fears or dampen their passion for change or to do good. We do owe it to ourselves to take a step back when meeting parents new to our world, though. If we show them understanding and patience, if we choose to calmly and gently educate them, coax them towards the truths we know and away from the falsehoods they've been primed with, if we take time to earn their trust, we will not only foster valuable allies, we may also be improving the lives of their autistic children, or even save them from the very fate that we fear. We could hold back and get a few second opinions, allow others into the conversation to give varying perspectives. We might give the benefit of doubt more generously, allowing more time for the penny to drop, that perhaps the doctors, teachers and other figures of trust might have led them down the wrong path. Doing so might have as positive effect on the future of autistic adults as any of the other hard work we do as advocates or concerned autistic people. Yes, we have a right to feel raw. Yes, we have a right to be wary and cautious, and we deserve for our resentment at the mistreatment many of us have lived through to be acknowledged. We have a duty to challenge those who blatantly exploit and abuse their autistic children, and equally we must correct the harmful narrative that autism is just a burden or a tragedy. We cannot afford to ignore abuse or willful ignorance where it is a clear and present danger. However, if we truly believe that we care about the future of all autistic people, we also have an obligation to do everything in our power to help improve outcomes for others like us, whatever their care needs or co-occurring conditions. Sometimes that just means showing a little restraint, exercising caution and patience, and questioning some of our own preconceptions. Thank you for watching.